Hello, I'm Daniela. In today's video, we're up to part 4 in the 5-part series of creating a slow-stitched autumn pumpkin. Now this pumpkin is very in-depth with hundreds of stitches and different colors of embroidery floss to create the shading. In today's class, we're going to work on the stem and making stitches to make that stem come to life and complement the rest of that pumpkin. So let's get started. So I stitched and filled in all the segments with the various colors that we used here of the turquoise to fill that in and make an interesting looking shading. I'll take it really close to the camera so you can see all the different texture that adds. So now I want to work on the stem here, and I'm just going to use 2 colors. Of course, you can use as many as you'd like, but I'm going to use this color that's very similar to the background. I think that'll give a nice contrast, and it's very light. And then I'm using this second to lightest shade, not the lightest, but the second to lightest shade. I'm going to start though with my brightest color here, and I have 4 strands of the floss. So I separated so that there's only 4 strands here. Because my highlight is on the point closest to me, it's on the right hand side, and that's where I'm going to start. So I'll start right at the top, and I'm just going to make a couple of rows of stitches going down the length of that stem, following the length of that stem. Now I do this to make the stem look long and to really emphasize the shape, but you can use any stitch you want. And because I don't want it to look like a single line, I'm going to make 2 rows in some of the areas here of the stem, starting at the base. I really want that to stand out. So I'll continue stitching until I come to the end of the stem. Again, making my little stitches following the perimeter here. And then right at the bottom, I'll make a small little stitch. And then a few more going up from the bottom, again, just based on the amount of space that I have. So I think I can fit 3 stitches at the base here. And then I'm just going to work a few stitches up on that center row, just to really emphasize that light color. So I'm pretty happy with that. I can continue going up all the way if I want. I think I'll do maybe 1 more stitch over here. But I like the way that looks. So now coming from this bottom here, this area, I'm going to just create a few stitches that match each of those segments. So I'm starting at the base and working my small stitches, just leading the eye out to each of the segments. So there's the first one. Now the second one is right over here. I'll bring that back in. And I'll continue that all the way around. So now that I have all of those segments accounted for, I'm going to create just a few stitches on the outer perimeter leading in. So I'm just going to come from the outside and just make a stitch or 2 leading towards the center. And again, this just creates the direction that I need. And I'll fill in those stitches with the teal. So I'm doing this just to break up the point from the stem to each of the segments, but you can do it however you'd like. And that's the beauty of slow stitching, is you kind of figure it out as you go, amend any plans you have or any changes, just so that you get the effect that you want. So I'll flip it over, knot this off. And then I have this color here, and I'll start at the top of the stem, and now I'll just fill in those 2 areas on the stem with this color. I'll come over here to the base of the stem. Because I'm treating this as if it's a shadow color, I'll just make a few little stitches just to shadow that stem and the base. And this adds a lot of texture and it draws the eye. Because I'm creating it in the stitches in lines, it draws the eye out to each of those segments, and that eye follows that shape. You can use any of the colors that you like, or you can introduce new colors as well. So that completes the main part of the pumpkin. In the next video, I'm going to sketch out the foliage and show you how I stitch that down, and I'll add a few little stitches here to hold our fabric collage. So now our pumpkin is stitched and complete. In the next video, we'll work on some details like the foliage and some other things of trim and stitches you might want to add to your pumpkin. If you've enjoyed this video and this series, please comment below and let me know other ideas for series in the future. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe and be sure to click that bell because that way you'll get notified of future videos. Thanks for joining me today.